You're listening to the Pool Builder Marketing Podcast, a podcast dedicated to helping your service-based business grow and thrive using the latest technology in internet marketing. And now, here's the host of our show and the CEO of Grow Inc., Matt Law.
All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode. This is part 4 on scaling your business. And today we are going to talk all about marketing. In our previous 3 training episodes, we talked about internal things. We talked about your people. We talked about leadership as you as a CEO. We talked about systems. But today, this part is all about marketing. And we've got a ton to cover today. And I know that you probably are tuning in because this is what you're looking for, the magic potion for growth. And so I'm going to deep dive. I'm going to spend a lot of time on everything that you need to do to grow in regards to marketing. I will say this, and I want to preface everything I'm about to say with this. If you do all the marketing that I suggest today, but you have broken internal systems and no quality control and no innovation to make sure things aren't slipping through the cracks. If you do all of the marketing but have bad systems, you're going to struggle. If you do all of the marketing that I share today and I go through today and you are a bad leader, you're going to have turnover with your team and your company is going to struggle. If you do all of the marketing and you have bad people on your team that you do not address their behavior or remove them or fire them or make changes to your team, you are going to struggle. So in this episode, this is the blueprint for growth. It's marketing. And as I've shared, we've used the same process to grow clients by 500%, all with bootstrapping their business without huge ad spends. And what I will say is if you are a smaller, younger company, maybe in the 1.5 million range, even if you've owned the company for a long time, this is the formula that we have used to help companies grow. If you're a bigger company, the rules still apply. It's just you don't have to pour as much money into ad spend as to grow, because if you just do all of these things, it's a healthy, methodical way to grow. So what I'd like to do is start off by explaining how we grow companies. And there's 4 key areas I'm going to dig through. I know that there's a lot of different marketing agencies out there and they do things differently, but I want to share our process for growth and how we work with a company, because you could do the right things. Sometimes a marketing agency could do the right things. But if you don't really understand the business and the client and the goals and the business owner, sometimes things can go sideways and hairy and like there's, the marketing is just not on point. So with us, I'm going to share with you our process. And for us, because we put out so many resources, we have our podcast, we have our books on Amazon, we have YouTube videos now as well. And so we just create content and we help business owners for free. That's why you're listening to this. And so what happens is we give away more resources on our website. We got training there. We've got, checklists. We've got a book. We've got audio. We just try to educate business owners the best we can. And they come into our marketing funnel. This is part of the 4-step marketing formula. And they'll learn more about what we do. Check us out. Maybe look at some case studies. And then they decide, hey, maybe I should talk to Matt and work with them. And so we ask people to fill out an application. We learn a lot about the business through the application, the domain, age, revenue range, what they're doing, what they're not doing. And so we believe to have growth, we have to have the right clients. And so the application is kind of the starting point and allows them to explain who they are, what they're doing, what their budget is, their area. And so sometimes we have clients that are in the same area as we have prospects that are in an area that where one of our clients works, and we will not work with competing clients. So that allows us to see their location, all of that. And then once we review the application and we set up a 1-hour phone call, and that 1-hour phone call is just our time to help the business owner answer any questions, talk to them about their budget. I always try to share what they could be doing better. I often talk about what's happening in that industry, what's going on with clients or prospects I'm talking to in the economy. And we'll just kind of talk about, hey, are you growing? What are your struggles? What are you spending? What's going on with your Google ads? What's going on with local service ads? Are you doing Meta? How's your local rankings? And we'll just kind of dig through and see if they would be a good fit, and just really try to be helpful and answer any questions. If they are interested in getting an estimate from us, we do a 2-hour deep dive into their marketing. And so I've got like a 7-page document where I ask questions. And so before we worked exclusively with service businesses, back in the day, I would work with e-commerce companies and, $10, $20 million e-commerce businesses and online stores and things like that. And so a lot of what is good for big businesses, small businesses, and service businesses should be doing. And so we will go through all of those questions and in depth, and we call it an investigation meeting. And we are investigating the ability for this company to grow if we implemented a marketing campaign. So how possible is it for them to grow? And so we are going to look at all forms of marketing, know what they're doing, what they're not doing. We're going to look at measurable marketing to make sure, are they measuring? Are they tracking phone calls? Are they doing all of these things? And after that 2-hour meeting, I will then go and spend a couple more hours looking at rankings, looking at their social, their local, their ad data, their reviews, all of that. And then we are able to say, okay, I think we can help this company grow. So before we even take on a client for growth, we have to look at, are they the right people, right? Are they in a good position to invest in marketing? Is there an opportunity for growth? Because if they're already doing all of these things correctly, then they really don't need me and we can't really help them grow. But if they are the right people and there's an opportunity for growth, then we send out an online estimate. And the estimate is basically everything we think that the company should do to win. And so today I'm going to go through like a sample estimate, a sample contract of what is in an estimate. But when we create the estimate, we usually give a range, and I'll say, okay, it's going to be between, $3,000 to $4,500 a month, or $4,500 to $6,000 a month. I will give them a estimate range of what I think it will take based on where they're at, what their revenues are, the ad spend, and what needs to be done in the build out process. So what is included in the estimate? And I will say that if you've listened to my podcast, you already know a whole lot of these items. Today, I'm going to dig in even further, and I'm going to talk to you about what each service includes of what a full-scale growth campaign would be. So we'll talk about each of these objectives as what they end up being for us, and we'll kind of dig in what these are for. Before we get to a contract, and we have this online estimate out, if they are interested in moving forward, they accept the estimate, they have to pay a refundable deposit, and then we set up a 2-day full meeting with the business owner. And so sometimes business owners will say, well, I don't have time for that. And I say, well, then you're not a good fit for growing, because if you can't spend 2 days to dig deep into your business. And so like I've consulted with companies and charged them $20,000 for 2 days, e-commerce companies, and we charge very little for this 2-day meeting. Plus it's refundable, because if a business owner can't spend 2 days digging through their business, talking through their business, going through their unique selling points, their branding, their automation, and finalizing all of the marketing details on the estimate, then I don't believe the project will be successful. So it's super important for the business owner, and sometimes some of their team is in 100% agreement of the philosophy of the marketing. Now I'm going to go through it in just a second. They're on board with the automation, the plan, their unique selling points, the innovation, the timelines, all of that. And then after that 2 days, we will finalize everything. It will be in range for what the estimate said, and that would eventually become the contract, and it would have all of these things that I'm going to go through on here. So I give you a little bit of a big introduction, but now we're going to dive deep into those 4 areas. And what's in the estimate, like I said, you can go back and listen to in detail the podcast for like websites, local service ads, all of that. Today, I'm going to dig in even further, try to pull it all together for you in one episode of Growth Campaign. And this would be, for an example, what I'm going to show you today would be for a company trying to go from maybe 1.5 million, trying to grow by $500,000 to $1 million per year in growth with bootstrapping. So a lot of times companies do not spend any more on ad spend. They basically just need to reallocate where they are spending money. So if you are doing, let's say, $2 million in revenue, if you were spending 10% on marketing, let's just give an example, that would be $200,000 a year. There would be a fee to Grow Inc. that is monthly. There's no setup costs or anything. And then the rest would be for ad spend. Our goal is to help you spend as little as possible and grow as much as possible. And so let's dive into the 4 sections. So the first section in our book and in our first initial training, and by the way, if you are just listening to this episode, you just started listening, one thing I would say is you may want to go back to those first 13 episodes where I go right through the blueprint for growth. You'll find it very, very helpful to go in order as well. But the 4 sections that we talk about, and that in our book and in our marketing philosophy, we break those down into the estimate. So the first thing that we want to do for a business is figure out their overall marketing message or their unique selling points. So rule number 1 is say the right things with your unique selling points. If you don't have anything good to say, then don't say anything, right? That's what your mama said growing up. But what's interesting is most businesses say, we're nice, we're good, we're friendly, we're honest, and people would expect that. We want to know what makes you different. And so during our 2-day meeting, we spend the first part going through your unique selling points, and we will help you refine those with your messaging and all of that to figure out if you have things that you are already doing that make you unique or stronger. So we'll talk about your reviews, we'll talk about what customers want, and we'll talk about innovation and kind of go through a little bit of training with you to help you develop your unique selling points. Now, your unique selling points will go into all of your marketing. It will become your overall marketing message. It's good to share with sales team. It's going to be on video. It's going to be on your website. It's going to be in automation. It's going to be everywhere as you share information. So once we dial in unique selling points, that is part of our 2-day. We will also usually build out and plan out a leave behind, like a folder, and it's usually printed out like a printed flyers that go in a folder. And so usually we will create a print materials for the company. If there's an updated logo, sometimes we will update the logo, and then it will be in all of the branding. And so usually inside of this folder, we do a smaller size folder. We do a letter from the business owner. We will also do reviews. We'll do unique selling points. We'll do financing flyer. There'll be business cards and sometimes a magnet and a couple other things inside of this folder. So if you go out and you do sales presentations or you're leaving a service call with a higher dollar estimate, this folder is left behind to say, hey, this is who we are. This is what we do. Most companies don't do it, and you can get those printed for $1,500 for 1,000 of them through our wholesale printer, and it just separates you. The other cool thing we do is if people request a quote online, we send them a PDF version, a digital version of your folder. It doesn't have the folder, but it has all the flyers, and it goes right to them via email. We also usually, as part of a campaign, there may be some updates on the branding. And so we want to land on the brand identity. So it's called like the identity guide for a brand. So sometimes we'll tweak the logo, make a couple changes. Obviously, if you've got it everywhere on your vehicles and all that, then we don't do that. But sometimes there's a small tweak. And so we will finalize the brand guide. So that will go into the website, all of your colors, all of that, fonts, things like that. And then we'll usually do a few other things like an email signature for everybody on your team. Sometimes there is a video shoot where we will get a local videographer or a local photographer to get pictures of your team, some drone footage. It depends on what you have already, but that is something that is very, very helpful. We also have someone on our team that can do that at times. But all of that video and all of that stuff, it's to build and finalize your identity as a company with your overall message, your unique selling points. And then we will take that content and we'll build that into video. So one thing we do is we do a walk-on video where there's a little talking head person down at the bottom right side of a website, and they will share your unique selling points, welcome them, tell them about the area that your company serves and say, hey, here's how we're different. Please request a quote and thanks for visiting. We actually have some AI videos now that do this really well, so it doesn't cost anything for the client, or you can get real actors as well. Overall, though, it works really, really good. And so section number 1, all the things I've talked about is about building who you are, your identity, your unique selling points, your messaging, what makes you better, what makes you different. The second part is all about your website, your online presence, and generating leads. So phase 2 is, we call it platforms and offers, and the goal is to grow your database. And so a lot of companies use different CRMs. Sometimes they don't even have a database, so we have to figure out where the lead's going to go. Do they need a CRM? We have to figure out all of that. But most clients, almost all clients, when they're thinking about marketing, their website stinks. And a lot of clients have websites built on WordPress. They are very hackable, too many plugins. They're not mobile friendly. They don't have a theme that converts well. They do not have good SEO structure. They don't have dedicated landing pages for Google Ads. They don't have any tracking scripts or way to measure the marketing. And so usually we do a new website. And so what we usually do is we will create redirects from the old site, build a brand new website with a new branding, make it look amazing. And then our websites have forms on every single page that have a way to track all of the marketing, call tracking built into them. And they are super fast, and just Google loves them. They're well indexed. And usually when a company switches over to one of our websites, they have much, much better SEO. And I'll talk about that in a minute. Usually we will do a better video header, and we'll take some of their footage or maybe some, free B-roll, and we will develop a really nice mobile landing page and desktop landing page. There's some cool buttons at the top to allow them to schedule or to text the company if they're doing text messaging. Most of our clients are. And it's just a really great presentation. So your website isn't for lead generation necessarily. It is going to generate leads, but it's really for the people hitting your business from Google Local or organic. And we just want to be like, hey, here's who we are. Here's our unique selling points. Here's how we're best. Here's how to request a quote. And it's really easy to do that. So the website is not all about salesy, high pressure. It's like, hey, we're professionals. We've been doing this for how long? Here's how we're different. Here's how we're better. Even if you're a new company, a lot of times your unique selling points will be based on your installers and how long they've been doing this. And so we really want to make this great presentation so that AI picks it up, Google picks it up, Meta picks it up. We want to integrate who you are into this site that converts really well. A lot of clients will do a free offer on their site. So sometimes people will visit your website and they're not quite ready to buy today. Maybe they are thinking about doing what you do, and maybe they're interested in one of the services that you offer. And so sometimes we'll create a compelling free offer to act as a lead magnet. And so that lead magnet will have your unique selling points. It will also maybe educate them about the service. It will kind of give them an inside look at what they need to look out for, and maybe some information that is not readily available online. And so it's usually written from the expert of, hey, here's how to look out for this. And so sometimes it could be pictures, sometimes it could be a guide. So for example, we have a company that does kitchen installs, and they have a kitchen design guide, and it talks about all these things that I never even heard about how you plan out a kitchen and all the available options. It's actually really, really helpful. And so that's just an example. And so they put that down on the footer of their website. That's also on their kitchen page, and people opt in for it. I don't know, they probably get about 7 to 10 a month. These are people that are not ready for a quote, but they will say, hey, I'd be interested in the free guide. Remember, they are already clicking on your Google ad anyway. And so we want a quote, we want an estimate, we want them to schedule an appointment. But if they're not doing that, the other thing we'd like them to do is opt in. Then they'll go into your database through the lead magnet, and we can follow up. Our websites usually also have a couple other cool features, is that we will do a AI chat widget. The AI chat widget will be educated on your company and can communicate with them based on your frequently asked questions. It can engage visitors and answer common questions. Our websites also have a lot of cool technology. So it has smart forms where there's some scripts in there where it will block spam. So if someone is putting some spam words in there, like people selling SEO, it'll actually block them. And you want that because you don't want them to go to a conversion page from a Google ad or something like that. They also do not have any plugins. So if you are used to WordPress and you've got all of these plugins, they're hosted on Amazon, super high uptime rate, and we host and build on a platform called Duda, which a lot of marketing agencies use. But these are our specialty templates with security and everything in there. And then we take that platform and we build out your pages and your content, which I'll talk a little bit more about in marketing. So all of the websites have the security built in. They have all the tools built in. And if you look at our client websites, they're very, very similar. And the reason is because they convert really, really well. And so you get people coming over from Google Ads, and you've got a professional website that's very mobile friendly. People are very likely to click on the call button or to tap the quote form and quickly fill it out. It's really easy to use on a mobile device, which is where most of your traffic is going to come from. So the database, through platforms and offers, we want to grow it. So we want to generate leads, and that's what your website is all about. Your free offer we would put on there as well. Make sure it's set to go. And usually once that is built out, that will go live in the second or third month of working with us. So now let's talk all about marketing. And so these are all the things that go into the marketing side, which we call measure and leverage the marketing arsenal. And what that means is we want to measure all your marketing. We're going to keep what works and double down on what works, and we're going to eliminate the rest. Now, because we measure marketing, and I see inside of a lot of service businesses and talk to a lot of prospects, I've been consulting since 2007 in marketing full time. And so what I'll tell you is I pretty much know what works, and I'm going to share with you today what works. Now, all of these have different return on investments, but they all have strong return on investment, which matters. You have to have ROI. So if you spend money on marketing, you've got to get a return on investment. And what you're going to see is everything I'm going to talk about today is online. Sometimes we do have clients that do offline marketing, and I will talk a little bit about offline marketing. The main thing with offline marketing is you have to measure it. So some clients do like coupon books. Sometimes they will do every door direct mail, but most of the time they can get a much, much better return on investment spending money on YouTube over a billboard. So if a billboard costs, let's say it costs $1,500, how many people are going to drive by it during that time? Are they really going to notice? So you have to kind of take away from that. And then we can say, well, gosh, you could get this many views on YouTube for an ad, at just a couple of pennies per view. So what would you rather? And by the way, this will target exactly who we want, just homeowners. And it's a very, very powerful way to market. So a lot of clients do not market offline, but we can handle that too. The main thing with offline marketing is if you wanted to do a billboard, you want to put on your web forms like, hey, how did you hear about us? Billboard. If there's a number on the billboard, it should be one of your tracking numbers so we can see how many calls that you generated from that. If you send out a direct mail piece, a QR code with UTM data tracking, so we can see, hey, where the visitor came from. There's a way to track every form of marketing online or offline. If you're doing TV ads, you can measure that even. So just a good heads up is if you measure your marketing, you can tell what works and what doesn't, but most clients do online marketing. I'm going to go through some of these things. The first part of the marketing services is to get everything measurable. And so we have custom UTM tracking scripts where when you visit a website and you click an ad, if you look at the top, you'll see UTM source equals Google, UTM medium equals PPC, UTM campaign, and there'll be a campaign name, keywords, and things like that. So we have a custom script that actually captures that data and it stores it in a cookie on your website. It's a first party cookie, so it's like not a third party cookie. Google loves it. They don't care about it. And it stores basically their IP address and a few other things in this cookie. And then when they fill out a form or submit that form, it gets passed on to you. So you get a lead, it goes into your CRM, you're looking in your CRM and you're like, oh, hey, we just got this lead from a Google ad, or hey, we just got this lead from Google Local, or hey, we just got this lead from Facebook Meta ads. So you'll know where your leads are coming from. So measurable marketing is the first part of setting this up. And there's two ways to do it. One is by capturing the right UTM data, and the other way is through custom call tracking. And so we usually partner with a company called CallRail. It's about $50 a month, and you'll have some dynamic numbers on your website where if they come from a channel, the UTM data will then rotate that number. And if they call, you'll know that that caller came from a source. So you can answer your phone and it will say new call from Google Ads, new call from Google Ads. And then you say hello, and there's the caller, and you know they're actually calling from a Google ad. That is call tracking. It's very, very powerful and a great way of doing it. So you got to measure your phone calls. You got to measure when people click over and fill out forms. But once you have measurable marketing in place, then you are ready to do marketing. And I want to go through a big list of all of the marketing things that we do. So from some of them will seem insignificant, but they have a great ROI. Some of them are going to be big and can generate a lot of traffic. For some clients, we do classified ad marketing, which is really through Facebook Marketplace. It is free to do this, and you could do this right away. So you could go on Marketplace, and if you sell materials or you do a service that includes materials, you can basically list that material for sale. So I'll give you an example. We have a company that does garage doors. They had a bunch of garage doors in the back. They are listing those for sale. We have a company that does aluminum, and they are selling entire kits of screen rooms delivered for the do-it-yourself person. And of course, what ends up happening is people like, hey, can you install it for me? Hey, can you build it for me? Can you do this for me? So it's like, if you have a pile of pavers, if you are an outdoors person, you can do that. And a lot of times it will turn into a job for that. Now, Meta, Facebook Marketplace will not let you do services on there. You can do ads in Marketplace, which is pretty cool, but it's a good way if you have someone in your office or you're willing to put up these ads and then renew them, and you'll be amazed at how many messages that you get from that. So it's a free, easy way. And I will tell you, I mean, it's probably generated for clients, hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's really easy to do. And so we write those ads. We show you how to track them. So you don't have to be doing deals through Messenger. You basically say, hey, give us a call at this number and we'll get you the information. And it's a tracking number. If they click on a link, you can see that that's where that form came from. If they fill out a form, it will basically pass on that data. So let's talk about SEO now. So SEO, people are like, well, SEO is dead. And I will just tell you it's not. We have clients that are up year over year, 30, 40, 50% on their organic traffic. They rank for, some of them rank for hundreds of keywords. And the secret to SEO, and it's going to change with AI, and there's AI summaries, but here's what I'm going to tell you. AI is picking up data somewhere. So AI through either OpenAI, ChatGPT, or Google or Meta or whatever AI platform is, they are now crawling websites and they're looking at data and they're learning. And as they crawl them, and then someone comes and searches for something, it says, hey, here's this company. So here's what I'm going to tell you. The first thing we do in SEO is we create content. So we figure out usually the most search keywords for your service or business, and then any geo-targeted areas or suburbs that you use. So normally there is like your main area is the most populated. That's the hardest one to rank for. So that's usually the homepage. But then there may be, 7 or 8 suburbs that you serve that have a good population and people want to find a company in the suburbs. So then we will go out and we will create content for those pages. They are then handwritten, not through AI, written by human writers, edited by human writers. So it will bypass the AI detection. And then they are posted onto your website with a ton of SEO, all the right settings, all of that information. And so most companies that start with like 4 or 5 pages, like that's what most companies' websites are. Even if you have a blog, it's probably not ranking for anything. And so when we run your rankings, I can see like, well, these are terrible. But then when you create all these content articles and you make them, perfect and good and you optimize them, well, then guess what happens? Then you go from having like 2 keywords in the top 10 to sometimes 20 or 30 right at the launch of the site. So we have clients that have well over 200 keywords in the top 10, top 5 even. And they originally started with maybe getting 2 or 3 organic visitors a day. And now some of them get 10, 15, a couple hundred visitors a month, 300 visitors a month. And how you do that is by creating that content. So in SEO, it's important to know that you cannot rank unless you have content that ranks, because Google is returning pages that are indexed. Even the AI is returning sources, and there's links to those sources. So if you want to rank well with SEO, the first thing you need to do is have the content. And so usually we launch a new project with a ton of articles. And so even if a site has only like 5 or 10 pages, when they launch with us, they're going to launch with 70 to maybe over 100 articles. And it just depends on the client, depends on their geo-targeted area, depends on all of that. With the content, you also have to do on-site SEO. So we do on-site SEO elements to make sure the interlinking is correct on the site. We also do structured data markup. If you don't know what that is, it's some code that Google can see, like, hey, we're a business. All of our links, our social media pages, which will help your local profile do even better. And so this on-site SEO we do. Now, we don't go overboard on on-site SEO, and I'll just tell you, you don't really need an on-site SEO company. You don't really need to spend money on that. As each page is built, we do it the right way. And so if you were a national e-commerce brand and you were trying to go up one position for a top, very competitive keyword, that's when you need on-site SEO heavily. But if you make a site that's healthy and it runs good and you have good content and it's positioned the right way, it's going to rank better than your competitors, because the other part of SEO is off-site SEO. So Google doesn't want you to build links. But they were like, hey, you're not supposed to, but it is a very common practice in the industry where if you will build links and you do link building slowly, carefully, and steadily, it will help increase your domain authority, it used to be called PageRank, but your overall popularity of the website. And by building links and having links that are correct in all of your social media channels and links that are correct on other sites pointing back to different content, all of that will help you rank higher in the search engine. So there's on-site SEO, there's off-site SEO, and by doing all of that plus the content, you'll rank not only in the AI summaries, but you'll rank in the organic results as people go there as well. So you have organic SEO, but what about like showing up in the map section? So we usually optimize the Google business profiles, and then we will set them up to build citations. So we build name, address, phone number verifications on multiple locations. We'll post more images. We'll put business descriptions, your area, and make sure your local campaign is correct. If it's a mess, sometimes we come to clients that it's a mess and we'll fix those. and get those healthy. And once those are healthy, you can rank higher in the 3-pack in Google. So sometimes that takes a little bit longer. We have multiple rounds of citations that we'll build. So usually most companies, when I first look at their data, they've got like, hey, I've got 30 citations. And then as a company matures, they'll have 200-300 citations. When a citation is basically just a verification of a listing where your name, address, phone number, and company details are all validated. So that is local SEO. And it's amazing if you are not in the 3-pack for your business and all of a sudden you get there, that can generate, 50, 60 more phone calls per month, more website traffic. It generates a ton for local SEO. It takes a little bit longer to get there, but it's something that we usually do. Part of that, we also do press release distribution. Now, press releases used to be part of an SEO tactic. Now they're more spammy, but it's another SEO service where if we just provide press and brand mention, that will help you in your local SEO. It'll also help you in your rankings for organic, but it will just give you a better exposure in AI as well. So press releases are usually a part of that. We also do, and this is really more part of automation, is we help companies get more reviews. And so if your reviews are low, let's say your reviews are below 4.7, then you've got to really add more reviews. And a lot of times companies with bad reviews are because they just haven't asked for good reviews. And whenever a project goes sideways, someone's going to go there and defame you on Yelp and Google and all these places. So what you want to do is every time a project goes well, you want to trigger an automation to ask for a review. Reviews help with local as well. So there's lots of things that go into helping local social media sharing, content on your website, but that is part of the local optimization. As we shift gears, the next thing that goes into campaign is pay-per-click marketing. This is Google Ads, Microsoft Ads. We usually start with Google and then we'll clone to Microsoft. Sometimes Microsoft has a lot of bots and spam in certain regions. So then we just say, okay, let's turn this off. And so with pay-per-click marketing, usually you're going to have a Google ad campaign for search. You are going to have maybe multiple for search for multiple services. Then you are going to have a Performance Max campaign for leads, a Performance Max campaign for local, and a remarketing campaign. Sometimes you'll have a YouTube campaign as well. So you'll run multiple campaigns in a Google ad account. And the Performance Max for leads, the main goal is to get phone calls or people to fill out a form, but then you can put one in there for driving directions where you put your phone calls and, lead forms, but you also put in there like I want driving directions, and that will help you show up in the map section as a sponsored listing. So if you can't get there through naturally, how cool is it to be able to get through there through an ad, through a Performance Max? Remarketing campaigns are hitting people that visited your website. That's usually a little bit later on once your audience is built up. And sometimes we will do YouTube awareness campaigns where you could target people that are moving or in specific markets for your service. So it's really, really powerful how you can actually do this, and you can pinpoint your zip code and all of that. So that is Google and Microsoft Ads. With social media, and I'll talk through a little bit about Facebook and Instagram. With Meta, there is a lot that you can do. So one thing we do is social media automation. Now, we don't spend a lot on social media. So let's say your page, your Facebook page or your Instagram page has, 100 followers, right? Or 300 followers or 500 followers. You don't need to hire somebody to do that all the time to reach those 500 people, because you look at the data, you're like, man, I got 10 views on this video. And so it's a waste of time to put a lot of effort into social media if your audience is narrow. And so what we do is we post, twice a week for our clients, and we will share data that will help their local, that will help their organic, and it will help them stay in front of people that follow the page. So they're good posts. They're not overly, deep, but it's information to stay in front of that. But where you really should be spending is on ads. And so we talk a little bit about meta ads. So meta ads, it's amazing how you can target, and they have the Advantage Plus, like how they can use their AI to find people on Facebook and Instagram. And it's kind of like this, and you could figure this out. All you have to do is slow down as you scroll on something. If you click something and go over and dive deeper, then you'll notice, hey, I've just got 20 more of these ads. So Meta knows when people are in market for something. They can tell based on user behavior. And so the more you are looking at something, the more you see that in your posts, the more you see that in the sponsored ads. And so these ads, basically, you can do a couple different versions of them, and I'll walk you through that. But they are great for brand awareness. It's like if you were trying to remarket to people and stay in front of them, so they visit your website through Google, you can remarket to them on Meta. But you can also do like lead forms. And so there's three ways to really generate leads on Meta. The first one is through form ads, and you can do this where they click a button and the form goes right through Meta, loads their information, and it's sent over to you and can go into your CRM. We've tested these a lot, and some clients they get a lot of spam. And so Meta just introduced a two-factor authentication where they have to verify their number. And if it's not verified, then it sends them a text. And then the number is valid. So that's a good way. You can also do like a squeeze page. We've done these before where they can go to a certain page on your website where you're just trying to get them to fill out information, and then you could even move them to the next step to try to get them to schedule a call. If you have like a Calendly integration, like schedule a call or schedule a on-site visit. The other thing you can do is messenger ads. So if you have someone on staff that handles messenger, some people will just click and they will open up a conversation for a quote. It's a cool way. Those three ways should be tested, and each industry and location is a little bit different, but those are the three we usually start with. We always do remarketing campaigns both on Meta, YouTube, and pay-per-click. So if they visit, like on Google Ads, if they visit your website even from organic and now they go over to Meta or they go to Instagram, they're going to see you following up. So there's a pixel and an audience built based on visits. With the website, sometimes clients will want they want to sell packages, and you can also do that due to platform. We will sometimes introduce e-commerce products where we can put those on a website. What's cool about e-commerce is a company could basically buy a package. So if you have a standard package that you do, not every business does that, but you can actually sell things online, and then you can add installation. There's all kinds of things that you can do. But what's cool is you can add a e-commerce data feed and then also do e-commerce ads. So when people are looking for services, your business can show up there as well. We almost always suggest local service ads. This is a way that you can be at the very top of Google. Most of our clients have industries that have local service ads. Some industries are very, very expensive. You may pay $200 to $300 a lead, depending on how competitive it is. But the local service ads is basically the Google Guaranteed program where you will basically go in and verify your insurance and all that information and your business license, and they run a quick background check, and then you can run local service ads. With local service ads, you just have to stay on top of it. You have to respond. You got to move people, through their, kind of old janky CRM so you can show that you are responding. But overall, it's very, very powerful. And lastly, I will talk about referral programs. We always try to get a referral program into the mix where if the project can show a before and after, depending on the industry, we ask people to post their before and after pictures on Amazon for a gift card. We also tell them that every referral that comes through them sharing what we've done for them, we're happy to give them a discount or a additional gift card. And so that's usually planned out with the business owner during the 2 days. So when we're meeting with a company for 2 days, we're going through their unique selling points, we're going through their website, geolocations, their offer. We go through all of the marketing. We show examples. We kind of dig through that, and we really take a lot of notes and we record everything. So we have a very, very clear plan. In marketing, there's really 3 areas that you need to pay attention to. One is your website and its SEO, and that's organic. And that's the local stuff. And that is for people that are kind of browsing. They don't want a lead form. They want to read about you. You want to put your reviews on there. You want to put your pictures of your projects on there. You want to look as reputable and credible. Put your unique selling points on there, chat widget, video, all of that. That is for the organic and local. AI also picks that up. And so lots of pages. Then there's Google Ads, your local service ads, Performance Max, search, YouTube, remarketing. These are all the ad channels that you can do on Google Ads. And then there is Meta, which is Instagram and Facebook. Mainly you want to do forms, maybe a squeeze page, Messenger, and remarketing. Remember, all of it is measurable. And so that is the engine. And I'll talk a little bit about ad spend. You're like, Matt, how much does a company have to spend to scale? Well, if you measure your marketing, you will know what works. Like last week, we were looking at a Performance Max campaign, and they spent, I think, $4,500. I just did a training video on YouTube on it, so I'm not going to say it exactly, but if you want to go to YouTube, you can find that new video. It was basically, they had spent, I think, $4,500 between 2 campaigns, and there was about 87 phone calls. I'm thinking it's 87 for $4,500. That's how many phone calls it generated. But besides the phone calls, it also generated form leads, form fills, and driving directions to their location. So it was it's a really strong campaign. So once a campaign is really optimized and doing well, and once Google is aware of what your conversion goals are, then the beauty of it is you can invest more into that campaign. I think when we started, they probably were spending $100, a day on it, not even, so if they only spent $4,500 on 2 campaigns in a month, you can see now they've gone up to 100. So it's really done pretty well for the calls. Again, you're going to measure your marketing. You're going to cut what doesn't work and double down on what does. And if you are able to scale with that, you invest more into the ads. But most companies, we will set like an expected ad budget. This is where it's tough. Your competitors may be spending a lot, and it's hard to know that. It's also hard to know if your campaign is not set up the right way, how much better it could be if you set it up the right way. And so ad spend varies based on industry, location, all of that. And, Google will suck the money out of your pockets. So will Meta. So will, like all of these will. And so you have to really measure it. Sometimes people ask us about like Angie and about Yelp. We have done marketing through those as well. The main thing is you want to get them into your CRM. You want to try to build some automation and follow up. You got to call right away. We usually see the ROI is less on those, but it can sometimes be decent as well. So we have some clients that do that as well. We don't usually say, hey, let's do it unless they're like, hey, I need more leads. And they have, spent all of the other avenues are maxed out. And, basically sometimes it becomes a way to generate some more leads. Lastly, in step 4 is the marketing automation. And so once you generate leads and you're doing quotes, how do you automate that? So if a client doesn't have a CRM, sometimes we will set them up on either a custom CRM if they need like invoicing in it and they need to send estimates on it. And maybe they don't have a very technical staff and they just want something super simple. So custom CRMs cost a lot more. We build them on an application called Knack. We also know how to use Go High Level depending on what business that is. So that's a CRM that they can have if they don't have a database. but you have to have something that triggers automation. And so usually if a company already has a CRM, like you may already have, like Service Titan, or House Call Pro, there's just a ton of them out there, or, whatever you use, you already have that. As long as it has open API, application program interface, we can push leads into it from all your channels. We can also trigger automations. Even if your CRM doesn't have automation, we can trigger it either through Zapier or Make.com and use an app like MailChimp or an email automation tool to follow up with prospects. And so when you generate leads, you want to have marketing automation to follow up. And if you don't have a CRM, usually we are going to build a CRM as part of it because you have to have a system. And so the CRM will trigger systems. Like if you move them to this phase or you add this tag, it could trigger automation. So maybe you finish a job and you mark the job as closed, then we could trigger out automation where we could ask for a review. You could even trigger automation where it sends an order to Printful.com and it could send them a cup in the mail along with the tracking email, tracking text. You could do a whole lot with marketing automation. It has to be based on what is best for your company. With most clients, once the CRM is kind of built out, we figure out the automation by phases. And so usually if there's a new lead, they're going to get prospect automation, which would be text and email, that welcome email. A lot of times we will log into the company's Gmail account, if their Google Business account or their Microsoft Outlook, which is their business domain, and we will send the welcome emails or send the estimates from there, which gives them 100% deliverability, 100% open rate. So there's a lot of ways to do this, but you got to inbox them. And so a lot of companies don't do text message marketing, so we'll set up a Text Magic account. There is some additional automation you can do if you're trying to generate a lot of leads. It depends on the organization and the business and how they are running things, but you got to have some follow-up in place. So I'll tell you the main automation campaigns that we want to see. Number one is prospect automation. So if you get a lead, we're going to share 2 or 3 emails with your unique selling points, a text. Your team is going to be calling them to schedule them. If they schedule them, we want them to get a text, email, both with basically their appointment information. Sometimes in marketing automation, we will set up where they can schedule an in-home appointment. Imagine they're on your website. They don't have to call anybody. They can schedule to have you come out. They share some information on there. You can call them and validate it before you go. But it's a great way to generate people that come into your system and get them to schedule with us. So you've got like prospect automation, you got scheduling. A lot of times we'll do automation for estimates. So when you send out an estimate, depending on your model, if there's a period where they are going to get a couple estimates before they buy, what we usually want to do is share some unique selling point emails like, hey, check out our reviews, check out what people have to say. Do you need references? We'll send them to you. Just let us know. Like, we want to share how we're different. Hey, our warranty's better. So we will have multiple emails and multiple unique selling points, but we will put those into that automation. And then lastly, the customer follow-up automation. So this is where you have a new customer and you may want to upsell them on a different service or remind them of something. And then they would go into the database. And usually for most companies, we send out emails quarterly to everybody in the database. So no matter who they are, if they requested your ebook, on your website, your free offer, or they're an estimate that didn't close, you're going to stay in front of them every quarter forever. When a project closes out, part of automation is to do a thank you campaign. And what we would do on a thank you campaign is we would basically move them. If you move them to close, it would send them a link to a landing page. It basically says, hey, how did we do? And if they're like 1 or 2, you suck, we hate you, then you'll capture that data and then they can fill out a form and you can try to make it right. If they push 5, then it says thank you and it directs them to Google. So you can kind of monitor what kind of reviews you are getting. We don't bribe anyone for reviews or anything, but one of our clients, they went from having I think somewhere around 17 reviews. And then this year they just passed right around 230, 240. And so by doing this every month slowly and asking everyone for a review, you can dominate your area. If you do a lot of small service calls, you probably have a lot of reviews already. But if your reviews aren't great and you use a system, you are going to get much, much better reviews as well. A couple of other things with automation, you can also do after hour scheduling through SMS. So there's AI voice systems where if they call in, they can press 1 to receive a text with a link to schedule. So if you have scheduling set up for your business, that's a cool way to do it. There's AI answering services where it's someone answering the phone. That's a AI bot. You can integrate Calendly, and there's all kinds of other custom integrations that you can do. So usually we're pretty involved in the CRM and improvements, and we're just going to kind of audit it to make sure it's done. That said, there's 1,000 ways to do automation. We just want to make sure, based on your business, how we can at least interrupt your systems, and I'll make sure we're following up and nothing is slipping through the cracks. So we'll have to figure out that system. We also do a couple other services to monitor growth. So you think about all that I'm sharing with you, it's a lot of information to digest, but you've got your messaging, your branding, you've got how we're going to generate leads in your website, and then we're talking about all this marketing arsenal, these things that we're going to do to give you exposure, and then there's automation to follow up with leads. It's all the best practice and things that you're probably saying, hey, this is exactly what I need to be doing. And I get that. But how do we make sure campaigns are on track? So usually we've got a 2 to 3 month build out period, depending on the complexity of the build out and what we're doing. But then once that is done, we will do quarterly planning meetings with the client, and that's with our grow consultants. And basically what they do is we're going to figure out, okay, when are our emails going to go out? What are our social media posts going to be, right? What's going on with here's what I need from you. And we'll meet with the business owner to kind of go through those decisions and see that. I also provide an hourly coaching call through Zoom to basically talk to the business owner about, hey, how can we fix your staffing issue? How are you doing as a leader? Are you being focused? And if not every client does this, but if they're willing to say, hey, Matt, help me be a better leader, help me with staffing, for example, sometimes guys are going through salespeople, and if you want, I can help you with that. If you want me to talk to you about what I see working, I'm happy to talk to you, but I don't want to force my way into hey, here's what you should do. Even though sometimes I feel like saying, hey, stop. You're way overpaying this guy or something like that, or you're all over the place. Obviously, I'm here to help if I can, because as we've helped companies grow, I know it's not just marketing that makes a company grow. It is their people. It is the leadership capacity of that entrepreneur, and it's the systems they have in place. Obviously, we're handling a lot of the marketing, but we want to talk through that as well. So a lot of information I have shared with you, and you say, well, Matt, how do you know if it's working or not? Well, during our meetings, we say, hey, how do we do in revenues this month? And we have the data from last year, and we compare year over year to see what the growth is. Inside of our growing platform, which if you request our free resources, you're on the prospect side, but there's actually a login side where our clients and grow consultants log in. And every lead you generate gets pushed there, so we can see how many leads, appointments, KPIs, whatever you are tracking, we will push to the CRM so we can kind of see what is going on. And then we also look at calls every month. We look at the number of clicks, traffic, all of that, reviews, and those are generated in a monthly report that says, hey, here's what we're doing this month. Here's what we did last month. You have any questions, let us know. Here's when we're going to meet. So we look at KPIs for the business on a monthly basis so we could see how things are going. So that said, there's a lot to this, but this is the blueprint for growth that we're using. And I think we do a lot of work for our clients. We do things that are small, that are part of the overall big picture of getting rich slowly. A lot of times people are like, hey, I just want leads, and we want to do that. We want to do meta ads and all of that. But what I foresee is that if something is easy and hackable, there'll be a ton of business and money that flows into it because it's the least amount of work with a good return. And so what happens is that area will be saturated. So if you've been doing like meta ads for a long time, you're like, hey, it's just not working. And that's the way it works. When local SEO, like people realized they could game local SEO, people were gaming it. And now to grow, we're talking about a lot of different things, 4 major areas of your marketing, everything measured. It's what I say, it's a balanced approach. It's get rich slowly. It's do the right things every day. It's healthy growth. And if you are healthy, your business is going to grow. And I always say it's everything you know that you should be doing. Like you're like, that makes sense, Matt. That makes sense. It's everything you know you should be doing, but haven't been able to put it in words or get it done. And that's what we do as consultants and grow consultants to grow. So I want to kind of go through a couple of questions. And these are things that I hear all the time. And I think it will help you as a business owner. Matt, when you build out a campaign like this to scale, is it super fast growth? And I will say, no, it's not always. Now, sometimes there'll be fast breakthrough depending on the business model. Like sometimes we will set up a new location and it will just kill it because there's not a lot of competition. Sometimes their ad campaigns are unhealthy and we got to rebuild those and start over. Sometimes the organic takes a big boost. Sometimes Google Ads will convert well, and sometimes we've got to create a whole nother account because of the history on that account. But Google Ads can usually be pretty fast, meta ads, but it's not an overnight thing, and you don't want to have all of your eggs in one basket. And so I've seen companies that I've talked to even recently that are talking about, hey, how have you grown? And they've done just one type of marketing. They haven't done SEO. They haven't done local. And they're like, hey, we're down. We're struggling. And I was like, well, you kind of got all your eggs in one basket. And so the goal is to spread a wide net, build your database, and communicate with your customers. This last year, most of the prospects that I've talked to are down. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking about scaling, you should know most of the prospects that I'm talking to are down year over year. 2025 is down from 2024, and 2024 is down from 2023. More than likely, your business is in the same way. Now, our clients, some of them are a little bit up, some of them are way up year over year, and some of them have more exposure, but they're flat. And so, for example, one of our clients is flat year over year, but their competitors went from running, say, 9 crews to, 3 crews. He was just telling me the other day, his number one competitor went from 9 crews, subcontractors, to 3. And I said, well, the good news is you're generating just as many leads as you did last year. So what do? Well, we're sending out more follow-up emails. We're sending out direct mail to their customers. We're adding some new exposure ads for them. And so you can maintain and grow. And then as the economy changes, you can really dominate as some of your competitors don't make it. So another question that I get is, how much is it going to cost, Matt? So the answer is simple. It costs you nothing because it will actually make you money. Right? That's a terrible answer, I know, for you business owner, but of course there is an investment. And so I'll just tell you, for like a startup company, it's usually right around $2,000. It would not be everything I shared in this, but it would be a basic, we call a Kickstarter campaign. So if you are a smaller business, it could be somewhere around $2,000 to $3,000. If you are a more mature business, in doing pretty well, it could be $3,000 to $5,000. And if you are, above 2 million, you're probably looking about the $7,000 a month range to implement everything. And so it depends on the situation. It depends on what is included. But here's what I'm going to tell you with Grow Inc. There's no upfront fee or anything like that. So a lot of agencies will be like, okay, to set it up, it's $25,000 and then it's X amount of dollars per month. Well, what we do is we figure out what it's going to cost and all the work that's involved. And then we break it down into an annual payment. And then we divide it by 12. So it's really easy to kind of do that. You do have to pay a deposit for your 2-day meeting if you are on a growth campaign, but we give you a credit back for that time into your contract. So there's no upfront fees. And you will also have additional spend for your ad spend, for like some of your software if you don't have it already, call tracking, any backlinks that we buy or content. But I'll put it to you like this. If you invest $100,000 per year in growth, and that's not even going to our company, if you invest in that and you grow by $1 million per year, so you say you spend an extra $100,000 over 3 years and you grow by $1 million a year, and you go from a $2 million company to a $5 million company, do you know the value of the $5 million company is so much higher than a company doing 1.5? You know the buyers that would be interested if your reviews were strong and all of that. So a lot of times people want to scale to grow and they want to get out. And the thing is, I always say healthy things grow. Let's get healthy and then you'll grow and then you'll be able to buy, you'll be able to sell. I have one client now that we've talked about, hey, do you want to sell? Do you want to get out? And he's like, here's the problem, Matt. I'm taking all these vacations. He's got his systems in place. Probably takes about 10 vacations a year. He's probably making $600,000, $700,000 in profit plus taking a base. It runs on its own. It's got a system. It's done. It's easy now. It is very painful to grow and it takes a lot, but once you're there, it's hard to sell once you've got a really healthy and successful business. And you're like, well, Matt, I don't know if I can afford to put in that money. And what I say was like, sometimes it's just not the right time to invest. But if you keep doing what you've always been doing, you're going to get the same results. Like Albert Einstein said, insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. I don't see in the next year the economy getting better. I'm down in Florida. The housing economy is in the toilet. And so there's not a lot of houses changing hands. And because of that, it's really hurting a lot of service businesses. I don't know where you're located and listening, but you know what the local economy is like. You know what things are like. And so you have to decide, do I want to invest in marketing or do I want to save as much cash as I can? That's a decision only you can make. But I will say that I often encourage our prospects and people we're working with to take our list of objectives, which I went through with you on the phone, everything, or I've gone with you on this podcast, everything that would be included. And I say, copy those into ChatGPT and tell ChatGPT about your company, what your revenues are, how long you've been in business, and then put in that you're considering working with Grow Inc. and they have clients that have scaled by 200, 300, 500%. These are references that you can talk to and basically ask them what the charge would be. And when you see most clients, it's like $150,000 to $300,000 a year for some big agency with all the branding and the team. And we have some amazing people on our staff. We're usually less than half of the cost of what ChatGPT says or what other agencies charge that I see. And the reason we do that is because we make money through a partnership. Like we want to be growth partners and we build into a bonus. Build a bonus into our contracts that's only paid if you hit your goals. And so we want you to hit your goals. We are vested and invested in helping you win and grow. And so our monthly base is to try to cover like the staffing and all that. But our goal is to help you win and hit your goals and keep you happy and growing for multiple years. A couple other questions I'll go through before we wrap up. I know this is a little bit longer of an episode. Do you charge per lead? And this is something I'm seeing popping up all the time. And companies do this and then they mark up the lead. And so they can get a lead or a trashy lead for like $15 and then they sell it to you for 100. So sometimes I've even seen that they sell them to multiple people and they're like, no, we didn't do that. No, we didn't do that. That is from, that's from a competitor or something. But I see leads sold to multiple people. And so when we set up a campaign, you're going to have leads coming from organic, local SEO. You're going to have leads coming from your referral campaigns, from your pay-per-click marketing, Meta, all of these, all over the place. So there's no charge per lead or anything like that. They're all exclusive. They all go to you. Another question we get is, what if I want to add new marketing in the campaign? So we do that all the time. It's really, our campaigns are whatever the most important things are for us to do. We want to get integrated first, the low-hanging fruit. But if you want to try out something new, do a mailer. Hey, we try something new all the time, but we're going to measure it. And it's based on, is it going to be in scope to help you grow? If it's out of scope, it's going to cost a little bit more. We'll do it at cost. We don't want to make money. We'll try stuff if it's out of scope. But if it's part of something that's going to help you grow, we'll add it. We do more for clients all the time. So that's what measurable marketing is all about. Last question people always ask is like, Matt, do I got to sign a contract? And the answer is yes, because the build out is substantial. When you're building a website that's probably valued at $50,000 alone, we've got multiple team members focusing on your project, video, ads, emails, content, all of that. There's a 1-year contract that we require for the build out. And so before you sign a contract, there's the 2-day meeting, there is talking to references, there's like all of these things. And basically the 1-year contract basically says, if we hit our revenue goals and we do a good job, then our contract will renew for another year. And our goal is to help partner with you for 3 years. I'm involved in all of the projects. Our co-founder, Jeff, is involved. We hire based on how I've trained you on this. Like we hire the best people that are entre-spirited and they're part of our team. And so I think that wraps up just about everything. That's our 4-part series on scaling. I made this because I'm sick of all the hype of these gurus saying, hey, here's what you do. Here's what it is. We took a company from 5 million to 10 million. Well, you grew a company by 100% and they already had capital. No big deal. What's hard is bootstrapping and taking companies that are new and young and helping them get systems in place and building CRMs and taking them, you double them, you've done so much more. So if you are in the 5 million range, gosh, you should hear this and say, this is the blueprint. This is what I need to do. Over the last few episodes, we talked about your team. I hope you get the right people answering the phone, the right salespeople, the right installers or subcontractors or employees that are doing that. I hope you manage them really, really well. And if they aren't doing a good job, it's time to get rid of them and to make some changes. We talked about leadership and how it depends, success depends on you. And I know that's hard because we want to basically look at our team and say, hey, team, do a better job. And I'll remember when I was a pretty young entrepreneur, I came home frustrated from work one day and my wife is like, well, what's going on with you? I said, I'm so sick of, and I was naming a couple people. I was like, they just don't do a good job. And she's like, well, what's a good job to you? And I named all those things. It's like, well, have you talked to them about it? I said, no, they should know about it. So, well, how are they going to know? She said, how are they going to know if you never talk to them? And when I was a young leader, I did not handle myself well. I did not do things the way I've shared with you that I would do it. And the biggest thing for me was being all over the place. I had 1,000 balls in the air, right? And nothing done. And I would just encourage you, really, really focus, dig in deep and make priorities, what matters most, and focus on those things. Secondly is like, address issues with your team. Like if there is an issue with the staff, you got to bring it up to them. You got to talk to them and say, hey, you're in danger of me letting you go because of this behavior. If you don't change this, so you have to make those very, very tough calls when you are working with your team. I think one thing you really need to remember is be balanced. I hate when I hear a business owner is working 70 or 80 hours a week. Some business owners are working even more. And if you're there, you're in danger of burning out. You're in danger of burning your staff out. You have got to find margin. And more than likely, the problem is because you have not trusted and empowered other people. So there's things that you know how to do, you need to give away. And you're like, well, Matt, I can't. And that goes to episode number 3. You can't because you don't have a system. Systems will allow you to let go of things and let your staff do it because they're good at it and it's documented. And so we talked about systems. And I just encourage you, spend time working on your business to make it better versus being the technician and just working in your business. You got to be the manager. You got to create systems. You got to create accountability. So as you built your systems, we talked about CRMs, we talked about financial, we talked about operations, and then having this communication loop where your team is saying, hey, I need to share with you how we can make it better. So there you have our 4-part series, everything I think that goes into scaling. I've thought about all of the business owners over the years that we've helped win and their character, the DNA of their teams and what I see. And also in the marketing, I've also thought about some of the people that have fallen off the cliff, that have struggled, that even with more leads, they've sabotaged themselves. And I've tried to share with you what I think matters most. So now you know the steps, you know the marketing formula. So the question is, what's next for you? And I will be hoping that you do great in 2025. I hope that you achieve your goals. I know as an entrepreneur, you have this business, it's your baby. You sometimes you buy a baby, or sometimes like an adoption, or sometimes you started it from the ground up and you've got a lot invested in it. You've got money invested, you got time invested in it. You got people and there's cash flow and there's worries, and it would be great if it wins, but what if it fails? I know what it's like to stay up at night and say, hey, what are we going to do? And so I just want to encourage you, as you grow and as you build systems and you do the right things day by day, it does get easier. You can work a whole lot less. So in my situation, I am part of a nonprofit. I have a SaaS application with people that run that. I also have Grow Inc. agency. I have a lot on my plate. I've got 2 daughters, I've got a wife, and I still have a very balanced schedule by building systems. And I will tell you, it will get easier for you as you continue to do the right things. And so I'll be cheering for you and for great success. And I hope you got a lot out of this training. Lastly, I just want you to know we added some free training videos to our free resources that I think you will find helpful. So we've got our book, which is the blueprint for your business, goes through all of those 4 steps. It's available in audio MP3 format, so you can listen to it on the go. You can download it in PDF or a version to read on your Kindle or your iPhone or your iPad or Android device. You can download it that way. But now we've added some cool training videos. It's about 2 hours that will walk you through the formulas for growth that I just covered in this episode. And you can get all of that by going to our website at gro.inc. So .inc is a domain name. We are grow.inc. So lastly, if you're interested in chatting with me and you'd like to connect, you can fill out our brief application and schedule a call. This is Matt Law from Grow Inc. wishing you the best of success, and I hope you have an amazing day.
Thanks for listening to the podcast today. We hope you found today's episode helpful and informative. For more information about Grow Inc. and to request our free marketing blueprint ebook and other resources, please visit www.grow.inc. That's GRO.inc. We'll catch you in the next episode.